Keek on the mic, keek on the mic, keek on the mic, keek on the mic. People, this the intro. Sacramento, California, born and raised. In Antelope is where I spend most of my days. Talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. Like always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you also follow me on all my social media platforms to stay connected with all Keek on the Mic news. So Bears fans, I have a quick little draft update in regards to the Chicago Bears as they are set to meet with defensive tackle Jalen Carter today. This is actually the second time they are meeting with Jalen Carter. So obviously Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus and the Chicago Bears are trying their best to do their due diligence and to get the bottom of the situation with Jalen Carter. I know there's a lot going on in terms of Jalen Carter as a prospect, especially the off-field issues, his work ethic, all that stuff around Jalen Carter. But there's no doubt in my mind that he could possibly be a generational talent. But the one thing I wanted to come on here and talk to you guys about in terms of Jalen Carter is this. According to Ian Rapoport, Jalen Carter is turning down pre-draft visits from teams outside the top 10 as his agent Drew Rosenhaus is confident that where he's going, if a team trades into the top 10 before the draft, he would be open to visiting them. So basically, in so many words, he has no interest in meeting with any team outside the top 10. This is the exact words that Ian Rapoport had to say on NFL Now. Check this out, Bears fans.
Yeah, it is the time of pre-draft visits when this becomes news and we start to figure out where are all these top prospects going around the top 10 and then beyond. And the top 10 is an interesting spot to start there. Jalen Carter, the Georgia defensive tackle, of course, was in the news all during Combine Week for all the wrong reasons, eventually pleaded no contest to misdemeanor charges of reckless driving and racing. He's on a visit with the Chicago Bears today. They picked number 9. He has also visited the Philadelphia Eagles, also in the top 10. I know Bears GM Ryan Poles spent time with them at his pro day as well. I talked to agent Drew Rosenhaus, who represents Carter, earlier this morning. He told me that he has declined several invitations from teams outside the top 10 to host Carter on a visit. This would be interesting because this would indicate on the eyes of Rosenhaus, based on his information, that he believes Carter is going in the top 10. He told me he has confidence that that is going to be the case. Now, if a team does end up trading into the top 10, then he will have Carter visit there. But as of now, no visits for teams outside the top 10 based on his information and where he believes his client is going.
Bears fans, this is honestly a very interesting development as it pertains to Jalen Carter. Like I just mentioned, there's no doubt that he is an intriguing prospect. I still think he could be a generational talent. But can the baggage be a little bit too much in terms of the risk about drafting Jalen Carter? Just like Ian Rapoport just mentioned in the video I showed you guys on NFL Now, his agent Drew Rosenhaus thinks that Jalen Carter can still go within the top 10, but he's only met with 2 teams inside the top 10, and that is the Chicago Bears and the Philadelphia Eagles. I guess according to other sources, other teams within the top 10 have took him off their draft board because they feel like it's just too much of a risk. So the big question today on the podcast, and I just want you guys to engage with me. I want you guys to answer this quick question for me. Would you guys still draft Jalen Carter if he happens to be there at number 9 overall? I just mentioned that. Other teams within the top 10 have taken them off their draft boards. That's the rumors going around. And the only 2 teams he has met with inside the top 10 are the Bears and the Eagles. So there is a strong possibility that defensive tackle Jalen Carter could be there for the Bears at number 9 overall. There is no doubt that the Chicago Bears still have a gaping hole on the defensive line, especially when in terms of trying to find that 3 technique. And when you look at Jalen Carter, the tape speaks for itself. He is an absolute monster at times, and he could definitely be considered a generational talent. But the main concern from most Bears fans or anyone viewing Jalen Carter right now is, 1, the off-field issues, which that's definitely a concern, the legal troubles. 2, the work ethic. You guys saw that sometimes, even when you turn on the tape, that sometimes he can go missing at times, right? There's times where he can be dominant, but there's also times where he seems like he gives up. And we all know that that wouldn't work in Chicago. Chicago, especially under the direction of Matt Eberflus. Matt Eberflus is definitely an effort-based guy. So if Jalen Carter wanted to be a Chicago Bear, if he does in fact get drafted by the Chicago Bears, Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus would have to be confident that he would come in and give his full effort 24/7. 7. And another thing about Jalen Carter is that he had a very bad pro day. Not only did he come out of shape, but he came and he actually gained weight, right? So definitely he's not in the right mindset right now, but it's just intriguing to me that he only wants to meet with teams inside the top 10, right? And that's just interesting because there's teams that could trade up for you inside the top 10 to come get you, right? So it's just interesting to me that he's only trying to meet with teams inside the top 10. Like I said, before all the legal trouble, before all the work ethic issues or all the issues that people are saying about his character, Jalen Carter was probably, if not still, one of the best players available in this draft. So if he is there at number 9, I think the Chicago Bears would possibly have to strongly consider it. I'm not saying take Jalen Carter. I'm just saying that they would strongly have to consider it. So I like that Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears organization are trying to do their due diligence. Like I just mentioned earlier in the podcast, this is the second time that they have met with Jalen Carter. So they're trying to do their due diligence. They're trying to get to know the person, the background of Jalen Carter, if he is actually dedicated to football, because that is the big concern, is that he will come into the NFL, get his big contract and just give up at times, right? But we all understand that that's not the culture that we have here in Chicago. So we don't want to bring him in here to a young rebuilding team and he messes up the culture, right? Because we can't afford that. We can't afford to waste a pick on a guy that's going to come in and not give his 100% effort every single day, because we understand that there's a lot of young players that are going to do that for the Chicago Bears. So this is a huge risk if the Chicago Bears do in fact take Jalen Carter. But if he can right the ship, the tape speaks for itself. There could be a possibility that he could be a very good player. But the one thing I can say about Jalen Carter, he has to get out of his own way. If he can get out of his own way, he has a potential to be a very good player in the NFL. So like I said, I like that Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus and the Chicago Bears are doing their due diligence on these players. But we'll just have to see what happens. I don't really have a preference. This is a tough question to answer. I know that I'll probably get a lot of 50-50 answers. Half of you guys will say, yes, it definitely dropped at number 9. That's a steal. And half of you guys will say, no, it's too big of a risk. I'm kind of leaning towards it may be too big of a risk, especially with guys possibly like Paris Johnson Jr., Jackson Smith-Njigba, maybe even a Kobe Dean from Georgia. Those are guys that may just be safer bets. But at times, maybe you do have to take the risk, because you never know. He could end up riding the ship and being a really good player in the NFL for years to come. But you would have to be okay with taking that risk at the end of the day. So I just wanted to come on here and give you guys a quick update on this Jalen Carter situation. This is going to be something that's going to be really interesting to monitor over the next couple of weeks as we get closer to the NFL draft. But we're going to have to see what the Chicago Bears end up doing. But once again, let me ask you guys this question one more time. Would you guys take Jalen Carter at number 9 overall if he is in fact still there in the NFL draft when the Chicago Bears are up to pick? Let me know down below in the comment section. Before I let you guys go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, be back for all new Bears podcasts right here on Geek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You can